Hello, beautiful people. Hope everybody's had a great week. I just really want to say thank you guys very much for listening, watching, paying attention. All the feedback. You guys are really awesome. I appreciate it. I'm sure for you, just like me, sometimes when I hear things, they just kind of sound different or they hit different versus just the thoughts that are going on in your head. So I'll go back and watch these, and sometimes I hear myself say something. It just makes me realize that sometimes I think things that are out of line or out of control or crazy or whatever. So sometimes just verbalizing some thoughts in my head and then going back and listening to it helps me work through some things. So I appreciate y'all for going along for the ride. You guys are awesome. So let's get into this. Let's get down to business. I've got some notes here. I know I said I was going to make more videos and make them shorter, but kind of difficult with my schedule and kind of got to get this in when I can. So I'll get through as many notes as I can today. What I've seen some stuff online the past couple of weeks that kind of caught me off guard, and I want to just kind of brush on those and see what this sounds like. Try to work through this thought out loud. But I saw a video recently where a city council member, I want to say it was in Jackson, Mississippi, they were holding some sort of press conference or something outside of a gas station or convenience store, and I was a little surprised about. I guess the complaint is that there's a lot of criminality that happens outside this convenience store, at this convenience store. Could be anything from drinking in public to robbery to shootings, anything like that. It's just, for whatever reason, it's a problem in this city, and there's more. Guess that happens more at some gas stations than others, whatever the case is. But I was surprised to hear the take from the city council member that was there. So first thing I want to say is I want to preface this with I'm not trying to bash anybody or make fun of anybody or cut anybody down for looking for or trying to find solutions to serious problems. So I'm not trying to say this guy is on the wrong path or he's not doing his job or he's not doing enough. Because anybody willing and able to, he's a city council person, so he's put himself out there. He's making an effort to make his community better. He's put himself at service to his city. So I'm not saying this is a bad guy. I'm just not so sure about some of his ideas. So I'm not questioning this guy as a person. I'm just questioning some of his ideas and his thought process. So kudos to him for, like I said, putting his name out there, getting involved with his city, and doing what he feels is right to protect the citizens of his city. So hats off to him and a hat tip to him for public service and all that. I just want to get into more policy than a personal attack on this guy. But in this little press conference that they had, some ideas and thoughts that I saw kind of caught me off guard. So one of them was this city council member wanted to put a moratorium on any more gas stations or convenience stores in the city until the city had more time to look into some policies that might make things better. So moratorium is not a word I'm super familiar with. It's actually a word I learned during COVID. That's a whole nother long story. But basically, a moratorium is no longer going to allow any convenience stores. So they're calling a cease or a halt to permitting any more convenience stores or gas stations to go into their city until they come up with a plan. So I thought it was a little bit unusual because it feels like to me at that point you're essentially putting the onus and putting the blame on a building. You're blaming a space. You're blaming a convenience store or a gas station for crime. I think that's kind of unusual. I don't know that that's the angle I would take to try to solve a problem. Now, obviously, this is a very serious problem because they're trying to do something. There's a serious problem. I mean, any kind of robbery, shooting, this stuff's crazy. Like, nobody wants to be, going to the convenience store for a gallon of milk or a pack of cigarettes and have to worry about getting robbed or shot. That's a big deal. Okay, so I give them credit for trying to find a solution to this problem. I'm just very confused about what direction they're going with this issue. And I think it's very unusual to try to stop private business from expanding in your community because usually private business in your community is a good thing. So putting a stop to private business coming to your community in hopes that it's going to slow down or prevent crime is just really kind of an unusual angle. So I guess I would have to hear more from him why he thinks that's such a fantastic idea, or if he's just willing to just do anything to try to, if he's willing to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I guess I can kind of see that too. But I do think it's an unusual thought process to blame a building or a business for a problem, especially the store owners, because they did lay a lot at the store owners' feet, like saying that these store owners should do more, and the store owners need to know that they're a nuisance to the community, and the store owners need to take more responsibility. And if they realize that they're a nuisance to the community, the store owner needs to just, if the store is already open, they just need to close their store and leave. And I mean, I don't know in what meeting this happened. I don't know in what town hall this happened. I don't know if this decision making happened in a boardroom where they put a bunch of ideas on the board and they went through process of elimination and got rid of some other ideas and they came up with this one, or if it was just a bunch of guys having, bourbon and cigars on a back patio at a barbecue and they decided that this was the answer. I don't know how they came to this conclusion that the convenience stores, that the buildings, that the business, that the store owners are responsible for the crime or play a role in the crime, where they need to do their part in reducing the crime that's happening at these convenience stores. Just a very unusual angle to take. And I feel like I said, I feel like looking for an answer is the right thing to do. In my opinion, I think they just stopped too soon. I think they found an answer that they all kind of liked and agreed on, but I think they should have spent more time thinking about other solutions for this problem, and other ways to solve this issue and solve this problem. To me, especially on large scale politics, I think a lot of times we get caught up with these, left policies, these right policies, but they never really, they make all these promises, but they really don't ever talk about the consequences. They don't really ever talk about what could go wrong. They don't really ever talk about how it affects the community in a bad way. They always talk about, the good and the positive, and this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is what I'm going to say so I can get your vote. But they don't ever talk about the bad side of it. They don't ever talk about how it negatively impacts you. They don't ever talk about the downside. And to me, this was at a small, it's in the city, it's in a smaller scale, that I can use an example that can be extrapolated over the entire country into much larger scale politics of how policy that may sound good to some people and it may sound like a problem, it may sound like a solution, but it really doesn't take in enough voices and it doesn't take in enough consideration of the downside of this. And does this really solve the problem? Is this really a viable solution? Because if I'm in this meeting, if I'm in this group or wherever this decision was made that this is the problem, I've got questions. I've got a ton of questions as to why we think this is the best answer for this problem. And probably the ones that come to mind the most is, if this store owner says, okay, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility for this crime and I'm going to close my store and I'm going to leave town. Okay. That to me is negative economic impact. Like I said, cities and towns and communities need retail stores to buy products to survive. Okay. So that to me is already a negative impact. You've got one less store, which in a economic sense causes a problem with monopolizing convenience stores. To now there's fewer convenience stores, so now there's less competition, so it affects prices. So let's say there's 4 convenience stores in this city and one guy says, hey, you know what, I'm out of here. That means there's 3 convenience stores. So it drives power and prices to a much smaller group of people. The more competition there is, the more fair the prices is, the better it is for the citizens, the more competition there is. So if you're going to drive out convenience store competition, you're going to make it harder for your citizens to acquire products because of location. Like I said, there were 4 locations, now there's 3. So some people are inconvenienced or having to go to different places to get their goods. And also now these 3 convenience stores have more power over the market to where they can change or fluctuate things more because it's in their best interest versus more competition in the market. So I just thought that was kind of strange that driving a business out of your community was a solution to the problem, and that to me is not a good idea, to drive a business out of your communities. And another thing I would be curious about is, again, let's use the same example. Let's say that there's 4 convenience stores and there's issues at one and not the other 3. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just using this as an example, but if this business owner, again, let's just say the business owner takes responsibility for this issue or this problem. Hey, you know what? We're causing a problem here. We're going to leave. We're going to close up shop and head out of town, and they're gone. Do you think that some of those issues will now disperse to other areas? Whatever crime was happening, like I said, whether it was drinking outside the store, whether it was robbing or robbery or shootings or whatever the case is, do you now think that those crimes are going to disappear? Or is there any possibility that they may relocate to a nearby restaurant, another nearby convenience store, somebody's house, or they may just linger at that empty building? Like, I'm just curious what closing the business does, because I don't know that closing that business is going to deter people from committing crime. I'm not sure how those two things correlate. So just those would be my two things, my two questions to this city councilman and how they came up to this conclusion is: one, I think closing that convenience store is bad for your city. It's bad for your community. It affects the cost of goods. It affects your community. It also negatively impacts competition in your market, which you need competition in your market to drive prices down. And then, like I said, do you not think the crime is going to disperse into other areas? Or move entirely to one location? It could go into 4 locations. It could go to 3. It could just go to 1. Like, I don't see the crime going away because the convenience store goes away. So I'm not 100% on that line of thinking. But to me, when I look at this, again, I'm not trying to knock this guy personally. What I'm trying to say is that, are we as a society, are we as a creature and as a being so politically correct, or are we so burdened by the truth of the situation that we will make up and say anything to avoid having a really difficult, tough conversation about what the actual issues are and what the actual problems are and finding real solutions? Because I feel like people's feelings might get hurt in the process, but I think this surface level solution doesn't solve any problems at all. I don't think this actually fixes anything. I don't even think this puts a Band-Aid on anything. I think this makes the problem worse, and it negatively impacts the wrong people. So you're trying to negatively impact a group of people. Do you want to send a message to criminals by shutting down an innocent business owner and an innocent business in a inanimate object that's a building? You want to shut this down, which is, again, going to negatively affect this neighborhood. And I don't get the upside. I really don't understand the upside. I see a lot of downside, not a whole lot of upside. And I think a lot of that has to do with it. Like I said, I feel like we're so burdened by the truth that we're silenced and we can't have a difficult conversation or have a tough conversation about what the actual problem might be and try to find some actual solutions, because to me, this isn't a solution. It's not even a Band-Aid. This is avoiding the issue. And in my experience, avoiding the issue never solves it, no matter what that problem is, whether it's in your job, in your marriage, in your relationship, in your business, whatever the case is. Avoiding a problem never solves it. Things don't go away. It's like having an infection. If you have an infection and you ignore it, you try to pretend like it's not there, your infection's going to get worse, I promise. So I don't see this being a real solution, or any type of solution for this problem. So I hope it works, whatever the case is. I don't know what I'll have to follow up with this story and see where it's going, but I'm not optimistic that this is an actual solution to any kind of problem. Like I said, I just feel like, and I wrote down here, that are we so burdened by the truth that we can't have difficult conversations anymore? Like, are we so soft and so thin-skinned that we can't discuss real issues and real problems on how to save real lives and real jobs and minimize or decrease real crime and how to lift people up out of bad circumstances and help them? And I don't see how closing convenience stores is helping people. So again, I'll try to follow that story, keep up with it, but again, I just don't feel like that's a solution of any kind. And kind of segueing into the next thing, because to me, I feel like this solution is kind of delusional. Another delusional thing I saw recently had to do with money and finances. There's a lot of these YouTube channels, TikTok channels out here of people doing street interviews. Some of them are interesting, some of them are not. Obviously, you get really short clips of people saying really ridiculous things. Some of them are profound. Some of them are not very profound. Some of them are just funny, But a couple of things I've seen recently, and I'll try to tie these two together. But staying in line with unusual thought processes, I'm going to, like I said, segue to this next little clip I saw. I saw a video of a guy doing a street interview for whatever his social media channel was. And he had stopped a man and a woman. I don't know if they were boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister. I don't know. But he asked them in the clip, would you rather have $150,000 today or $2 million in 2 years? And he asked them both, and they both gave very, very different answers. Okay, so the woman in the video, and they look pretty young. I'm gonna say mid-20s, something like that. But he asked both of them. The woman said she was a nursing student and she would rather have $2 million in 2 years. Okay, and let me back up just a little bit. This example that this guy used, this $150,000 a day or $2 million in 2 years, not a really good example. I mean, these numbers are obviously really far apart, but they're kind of arbitrary numbers. But I guess in a street interview, every number is arbitrary. But to me, neither one of these numbers are really big enough, or these numbers maybe aren't far enough apart for them to really be impactful, maybe to like the human psyche of how far apart these numbers are, or what it takes to make this kind of money, or things like that. But anyway, back to the story. So the woman, she said, "Hey, I'll take the $2 million in 2 years. I'm a nursing student." Which again, this is just my personal preference or my personal viewpoint of watching the video. I just felt like $150,000 probably wasn't a lot of money to her. And I think she realized that $2 million was quite a bit of money. And she knew that $150,000 wasn't going to do her a lot of good in her situation. She probably understands that her cost of living, she probably understands the cost of her degree. And she probably understands that $150,000 isn't going to go very far. And even if you invest $150,000, it's going to be really hard to turn $150,000 into $2 million in 2 years. So she would continue working on her nursing degree, gather skills, gather education, work on herself in the meantime. So at the end of 2 years, she's mentally equipped for her career, for her job. She's smarter, she's brighter, she's on top of her stuff. And now she's got $2 million waiting on her. Okay, so that to me was a rational thought process. And again, I cannot be in her head. I don't know what exactly she was thinking, but that's sort of the vibe I got from her short answer. Now, on to the delusional, the delusional part of this. The guy that was in the video asked the exact same question, and he said, "I'll take the $150,000 today." And the guy doing the street interview, just like he asked the girl why, he asked this guy why, and he's like, "Oh, because I would turn 150,000 into 5 million. I would turn it into 10 million." And the guy doing the street interview asked, "How long?" And he said, "Oh, 3 months." I mean, it's so, okay, here, I'm going to make a confession to you real quick. Very often, and actually I'll probably need to reword this in my head before I tell you, so I'll hold off on the confession till later, but very often in my head, I say things that are probably not very nice. And I probably shouldn't share that with you right now. But when I see or hear people say absolutely ridiculous things, there's something I always say to myself in my head, and I'll share that with you later. It's probably not appropriate, but I'll share that with you later. But I said that thing that I usually say to myself. I said it about this guy, and when I say it about this guy, it's not that I'm saying it about this person. It's that I'm saying it about myself in relation to this person. Okay, so when this guy said he was going to turn $150,000 into $10 million in 3 months, the outright insanity of what he is saying shows me how disconnected people are from reality. This again, tying back to this Jackson, Mississippi convenience store example, this feels disconnected to me. This guy saying convenience stores cause crime, and this guy saying I can turn $150,000 into $10 million in 3 months, is a level of disconnection from reality that's so bizarre and so difficult to understand. I don't know how how this guy goes about his daily life. Like, how can you possibly believe that you can turn $150,000? And again, we'll go back to his first estimate. Let's just say he thinks he can really turn 150,000 into 5 million. Like, again, if the guy's in his mid 20s, late 20s, whatever age he was, for starters, if the guy had the skills to do that, if he had the ability, the knowledge, the wisdom, the resources, whatever the case, to turn 150,000 into 10 million, then he obviously has some sort of business plan or investment strategy that if he would just write on paper, there's people all over the country and all over the world that would be giving him, that would be investing with him. If this guy told me, okay, let's use his lower estimate, $5 million in 3 months. If this guy says, hey, I can turn $150,000 into $5 million in 3 months, you know what I would do? I would tell him, hey, I'm going to give you $150,000, and in 30 days, you give me $1 million and you keep the other $4 million. I would be happy with that. You keep $4 million. You don't have to invest any of your own money. I'll give you $150,000. You turn it into $5 million, and in 90 days, you just give me $1 million. You keep $4 million. We both walk away. You're a rich man. I get to come up $1 million. We're all good, right? So it's so bizarre that people think that they understand money to the degree. I mean, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if it's just lack of, financial education. Like, I'm financially moderately literate now, coming from a place of like complete financial illiteracy, but nowhere in this process from complete illiteracy to moderate literacy, because it probably take me 20 or 25 years to get to like, expert financial literacy. I'm probably a third, maybe 30% of the way there, but nowhere from 0 to 30% did I ever think I could turn $150,000 into 5 million or 10 million in 90 days. Like, I can't even put into words how absurd and insane and disconnected from reality that is. Most people couldn't turn $150,000 into $10 million in a lifetime. I mean, if this guy had the skills to do it, number one, if this guy could turn 150,000 into 10 million in 90 days, you would think whatever work or job or profession he's doing, it wouldn't take him long to save up 150,000. Because if he can turn 150,000 into 10 million, well, then he should be able to turn $1 into $2, and then $2 into $4, and then $4 into $8, and it won't take you very long to get to 150. Even if you do it slowly, even if you did it month to month to month to month, it wouldn't take you long to get to 150,000. So if it took you, I need to get a calculator out and find out how long that would take if you just doubled your money every so often. It wouldn't take you long to get to 150,000. So why aren't you doing it? If this guy's got the smoking gun or the magic pill or whatever, like, what's he waiting on? Like, what's the secret, bro? Like, if you had a secret that valuable, worth that much money, you wouldn't even need $150,000. You can make one TikTok, you can make one YouTube video, you can make one Instagram reel and sell that secret, and people would knock you over and give you money to have that secret. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand how people are so disconnected from reality when it comes to finances. Like, how could you possibly? And this guy was not joking. He wasn't speaking like, he wasn't making a joke. He wasn't trying to be funny. He was dead serious. He honestly believed that that's what would happen. I got bad news, man. If somebody gave that guy $150,000, that money would be gone in 90 days. It would be $0 in 90 days. It wouldn't be 10 million. It would be zero. Like, it's so disconnected from reality. It's so disconnected. I can't even get my head around it. I don't have words to describe it. It's so bizarre how much money, or how disconnected people are from the value of money. Like, how much money, does this guy even understand how much money $10 million is? I mean, he obviously doesn't know how much 150,000 is. And the reason why I know that is because if he knew how much 150,000 was, he would have it. And then if he had $150,000, he believes he could turn it into 10 million. So if he had 150, he would already have 10 million. So he doesn't have 150. So he has no idea what $150,000 looks, feels, tastes like. but somehow in 90 days, he's going to understand how to get to 10 million. So bizarre. So bizarre. It's crazy. It's crazy. Getting short on time. So anyway, just completely disconnected from reality. Like I said, are we so burdened by the truth on money? Like, are we so disconnected from reality that our solutions to problems are like just whimsical? Like, is this guy's financial strategy is going to go spend $150,000 on lottery tickets and hopefully he's going to get a jackpot for 10 million? Like, who turns $150,000 into 10 million in 90 days? I mean, it's just crazy. Another street interview I saw, and I'll wrap it up with this. Another street interview I saw, which is really powerful, really good, really smart. Again, I don't know who told this kid that or if he came up with it, but he said, if somebody gave you $10 million, would you take it? Answer, obviously, yes. You would take the $10 million. He said, but if you took the $10 million, you wouldn't wake up the next day. And that hits you different because he says, then knowing that if you wouldn't take the $10 million because you wanted to wake up the next day, then you understand that waking up tomorrow is worth more than $10 million. So be grateful for the ability to wake up. Know that your life is worth more than $10 million. Every single day that you wake up, it's worth more than $10 million. So be grateful for that. Be grateful to be alive. Be thankful, and just know that your life is way, way, way more valuable than you could possibly even imagine or understand. And then I'm going to wrap up my reading assignment. I've been way off track with my reading assignments. I said a little prayer at work today, and as prayers often are answered quickly, within an hour, my prayer was answered. So a gentleman came in and gave me not really a challenge, but he gave me some advice. I told him about my relationship with the Bible, and he gave me some advice, and he said that I should read the book of John, read 7 chapters every day, and there's 21 chapters in John. So you're going to read John every day for a month. And if you read 7 chapters a day, you'll repeat John every 3 days. So I don't know if what I just said there made any sense, but read 7 chapters in John every day. And in 3 days, you'll finish the book of John. And then you repeat that process through the month. So you'll read John 10 times throughout this month. So that's my reading assignment. I did read my first 7 chapters before I did this video, and I'm really excited about this translation. I'm really excited about this challenge. If you want to do it with me, start tonight. Today's the first, and like he said in front of me tonight, he was like, "Hey, it's the first of the month. It's a perfect day to do it." And in divine timing, as always, yes, it is the first of the month, so it was perfect timing for me to start this challenge. So, reading the book of John, 7 chapters a night. There's 21 chapters, so every 3 days we'll start it over. So we're going to read the book of John 10 times this month. And I did something different this time than what I usually do. A lot of times I will either listen to it and read it at the same time. And what I did differently this time is instead of listening to it, I'm reading it out loud. So reading it out loud, I don't know if that's for you or not for you. When I read out loud, I sound like I'm still in kindergarten, so it's probably some practice that I need, but I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to try to get to know it better. So if you're up for the challenge, do it with me, Book of John, all this month, and we'll talk to y'all soon. I love you guys very much, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.